Hello, dear students. My name is Pankeshwar Paningrai. Today we are going to discuss a new CPU scheduling algorithm, that is your SJF CPU scheduling algorithm. So in our previous class we have discussed so far about the FCFS CPU scheduling algorithm and how to calculate the average waiting time as well as average turnaround time by using the FCFS CPU scheduling algorithm. So today we are going to discuss the shortest job fast scheduling or SJF CPU scheduling algorithm, and here also we will calculate the average turnaround time as well as average waiting time. So in FCFS scheduling algorithm, we prepare the Gantt chart by considering the arrival time of the different type of jobs in FCFS CPU scheduling algorithm, that is your first come first serve CPU scheduling algorithm. But here in SJF technique or shortest job fast technique, we have to prepare our scheduling by referring the CPU burst time of each and individual job. So what is CPU burst time? The total time taken by the processor to execute one job, that is called as the CPU burst time for each and every job. Okay, so by referring or by seeing the CPU burst time, we are going to prepare our schedule in shortest job fast scheduling, and after preparing the Gantt chart or scheduling, we have to calculate the completion time of each and every job. Then we have to calculate the turnaround time and waiting time of each and individual job. After that, we will calculate the average turnaround time as well as average waiting time. Okay. So it is quite difficult as comparison to FCFS CPU scheduling algorithm, and also implementation is so difficult in SJF CPU scheduling. Okay, so let's go through the notes. So here are the notes. Till now we were scheduling the processes according to their arrival time. However, SJF scheduling algorithm schedules the processes according to their CPU burst time. In SJF scheduling, the process with the lowest burst time among the list of available processes in the ready queue is going to be scheduled next. So it is very difficult to predict the burst time needed for a process. Hence, this algorithm is very difficult to implement in the system. So this is the example where the processes P1 up to P5 are available, and it is given that arrival time and CPU burst time. So the arrival time of P1 is 1, arrival time of P2 is 3, arrival time of P3 is 6, arrival time of P4 is 7, and arrival time of P5 is 9. Same, the CPU burst time of P1 is 7, and the CPU burst time of P2 is 3, and the burst time of P3 is 2, and the burst time of P4 is 10, the burst time of P5 is 8. So by seeing the table, we will prepare our Gantt chart. After that Gantt chart preparation, we will go through the solution of the problem, and we will calculate the turnaround time, waiting time, as well as the completion time of each and individual job. Then we will calculate the average waiting time and average turnaround time. Okay. So how to prepare the Gantt chart based on the CPU burst time? So first we will see that each job is came first into the system. So the arrival time of P1 is 1. That's why, so from 0 to 1 there is no process will arrive. That's why we can take one blank space, that is 0 to 1 as a blank. After that P1 came into the ready queue and P1 takes the time to execute, that is your 7 millisecond. That means from 1 to 7 millisecond the P1 will execute. After that, so 1 plus 7, that is your 8 millisecond, up to the P1 will execute up to 8 millisecond. Then we will check. So when the P1 is getting executed in 1 millisecond to 8 millisecond, so how many, if any job will arrive in the time of 8 millisecond or 1 to 8 millisecond or not, in between the 1 to 8 millisecond or not. So here we will see that there is 3 jobs are arrived, that is P2, P3 and P4, whose arrival time is 3 millisecond, 6 millisecond and 7 millisecond. So among the 3 jobs, which job is getting loaded into the ready queue for execution as the next job? We will determine that by seeing their CPU burst time. So CPU burst time of P2 is 3, P3 is 2, P4 is 10. That's why we will take the P3 as the next job in the ready queue, because the CPU burst time of P3 is low. That's why the P3 will get executed up to 8 millisecond to up to 2 millisecond. That means 8 plus 2, that is your 10 millisecond. So again we will see that between the 8 to 10 millisecond, if any job will arrive or not. Yes, the P5 will arrive at 9 millisecond. That's why again we will check among the P2, P4 and P5 which will be the lowest CPU burst time. Here the P2 is the lowest CPU burst time, that is 3 millisecond. That's why it is loaded into the ready queue after the P2. Okay, so P3 will getting executed, P2 will getting executed up to 3 millisecond, and the total millisecond is there 13 millisecond, 10 to 13 millisecond. It will execute the P2. After that, the 2 processes are available, that is your P4 and P5. So as comparison, by comparing the P4 and P5, the CPU burst time of P5 is less. That's why it will getting loaded into the system, into the ready queue, and it will execute up to 8 millisecond. That means 13 plus 8, it will execute up to 21 millisecond. The P5 will execute, and after that the P4 has a last job, that is put into the ready queue, and it will execute up to 31 millisecond. 21 plus 10, that is 31 millisecond. So let's go to the Gantt chart to understand easily. Here it is explanation, whatever I have told you, that is given. Since no process arrives at time 0, hence there will be an empty slot in the Gantt chart from time 0 to 1. According to the algorithm, the operating system schedules the process which is having the lowest burst time among the available processes in the ready queue. Till now, we have only one process in the ready queue. Hence, the scheduler will schedule this to the processor, and no matter what is its CPU burst time. This will be executed till 8 units of time. Till then, we have 3 more processes arrived in the ready queue. Hence, the scheduler will choose the process with the lowest burst time. So, among the processes given in the table, P3 will be executed next, since it is having the lowest burst time among all the available processes. This is all I have told you. Okay. So that's how the procedure will go on in shortest job fast scheduling. This is the Gantt chart. So first P1 arrives. So first slot is empty because there is no process will arrive at the time in between 0 to 1 millisecond. So after 0 to 1 millisecond, P1 will arrive and it will execute up to 7 millisecond. That means 1 plus 7 is equal to 8. After that, P3 will arrive and P3 will execute 2 millisecond. That means 8 plus 2, that is P3, 10 millisecond. And after that, P2 will arrive and it will execute 3 millisecond. And 10 plus 3, that means here it is the 13 millisecond. It takes completion of P2. And after that, 13 plus 8 millisecond, that is 21 millisecond, which is completed the execution of P5. And after that, the P4, which takes 10 millisecond to execute, that means 21 plus 10 equal to 31 millisecond. And within 31 millisecond, all the jobs are executed. Okay. So here, by seeing the Gantt chart, we will calculate the finishing time of the completion time of each and every job. So the completion time of P1 is 8. By seeing the right side digit, we will take as the completion time. So the P2 is 13, P3 is 10, P4 is 31 and P5 is 21. So these are the completion time of each and individual job. Again I am telling you, the completion time of P1 is 8. So here it is the right side of the P1, 8. And the completion time for P2 is 13, that is right side of the P2. And completion of P3 is 10, that is right side also of the P3 process. And P4 is 31, it is also available in right side. And P5 is 21. So these all comes our the completion time of each and individual job. Okay. So next, how to compute the turnaround time and waiting time. So the turnaround time, the formula is completion time minus arrival time. Okay, let's go through the example. So turnaround time, we have to calculate the turnaround time, that is your completion time minus arrival time. So for the process P1, the turnaround time is 8 minus 1, that is your 7. Process P2, 13 minus 3, that is your 10. And process P3, 10 minus 6, that is your 4. And process P4, 31 minus 7, that is your 24. And process P5, 21 minus 9, that is your 12. Okay. Next, we have to calculate the waiting time. So the waiting time, the formula is turnaround time minus burst time. Okay. So the turnaround time of, so the waiting time for the P1 is 7 minus 7 is burst time. 7 minus 7 turnaround time minus CPU burst time. That means 7 minus 7 is 0. Then 10 minus 3 is 7. Then 4 minus 2 is 2. 24 minus 10 is 14. And 12 minus 8 is 4. Okay. So here it comes the each and every individual jobs turnaround time as well as waiting time. So how to calculate the average waiting time and average turnaround time? So by adding the total number of turnaround time of each and individual job, so different divided by the total number of processes. That means 7 plus 10 plus 4 plus 24 plus 12. Okay, divided by 5. Okay, so that is your 57 divided by 5. And the waiting time we have to calculate 0 plus 7 plus 2 plus 14 plus 4 divided by 5. That is your 27 by 5. Okay, 14, 4, 18 to 27, 27. Okay, 27 divided by 5. So here it comes your average waiting time as well as average turnaround time. So this is the total concept regarding your SJF CPU scheduling algorithm. I hope you read it carefully, and if you have any doubt, then you will ask me. Okay, thank you.